Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot, and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of March 2022. This reading will be for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And as always, these readings are general in nature, so please do keep in mind that not all of the messages that come through will pertain to your situation specifically. So I do highly recommend you take anything and everything that resonates, however that makes sense to your particular situation. Keep in mind anything that might be helpful to you as you move through the month of March, and just simply leave the rest. So Cancer, I hope that February was good to you. I hope that you're all doing well. I'm excited to read for you and to try and connect with some empowering messages to help you make the most out of the energy that's coming through in the month of March. As you can see, I've already got your oracle cards here, so we'll read those, pull some tarot and some clarifiers, and finish off with some affirmations. And I will start with some channeled messages before we get into the main portion of the reading. So I took some time yesterday in the evening to sit down and to connect with and channel your energy and any messages in particular from your spirit guides. And I did that before shuffling and pulling out these oracle cards. So we'll start off with that. And also these might be very particular in nature, so take whatever resonates. If it doesn't resonate for you, that's totally fine. So we'll get into that. And I must say, before I actually get into the messages, as soon as I started to connect with your energy, I noticed that my whole head became really, really congested, especially in my nose. I was feeling a lot of pressure in my nose and around my eyes, like my sinuses and stuff like that. So you might have a cold, or you might just be feeling really like run down and kind of stuffy as a result. Like maybe your immune system is kind of working overtime and you're feeling a little rough. So if that is the case, it might just be time to like get a little bit of rest, make sure that you're hydrating, taking care of yourself if you are experiencing those kinds of symptoms, because that's kind of like a current energy. Okay, so the other thing that I did notice was I was having a really hard time. So I do like rituals to kind of cleanse all of the decks from any previous energies to connect with your energy. And it's a big, long ritual, and I'm consistently like repeating like intentions out loud to set the intention for the cards, to set the intention for your reading, so that we can connect with some really quality information and insights. But I was having such a hard time focusing. I was feeling confused. I had like a lack of clarity and focus. I kept on like mixing up my words and forgetting like where I was at. So the sense that I got is like you might be feeling a little bit confused, maybe a little bit overwhelmed. Maybe you're kind of scattered, maybe a little bit unfocused or forgetful because you've got a lot going on, or you could be like sleep deprived, like maybe just really exhausted, running on empty. So just be aware if that energy resonates for you. That could be that could be kind of bleeding into your energy for the month of March. So the first thing that came through was rest and spa day. And so I got the sense that like you might be in need of some deep relaxation. Maybe this is something that you don't necessarily prioritize or allow yourself time to connect with. Maybe you see it as a luxury or something that you don't have time for, especially if you're particularly busy. But I think that some deep rest, some relaxation, some regeneration might be something that's helpful to you this month, might be something worth investing in, taking some time for. Like I said, it could be a spa day. It could be anything that you find to just really be relaxing, to help you shut off from the day-to-day, all the busyness, all of the kind of chaos that you've got going on. And so, to keep that in mind. The other thing that came through is box breathing. I mentioned this in another reading. I don't know if maybe it was Sagittarius. I can't recall. But basically saying that if you are feeling anxious, if you are feeling scattered, that box breathing might be something that helps you kind of just recenter yourself, especially if you don't have the time right now to get away and rest and regenerate. So that would be closing your eyes, relaxing, deep breath in into the belly for a count of 4 seconds, holding that breath for 4 seconds, releasing that breath for 4 seconds, and holding again for 4 seconds before you repeat the process. And repeating that over the course of a couple of minutes, that can help you really just kind of reset, recalibrate. It can help bring your stress and anxiety or any kind of unrest. Even if you're just feeling really exhausted and you kind of just need to connect with yourself, that might be something quick that you can do throughout your days if you're feeling like kind of overwhelmed. All right, so the next thing that came through was great effort. And so you might be working really, really hard. You might be putting in overtime. You might be really, really focused on achieving a specific goal, or just, always doing your absolute best. And so I get the sense that you might be like putting a great amount of effort into your life and the things that are going on around you. But I think you're also being encouraged to recognize that effort. So perhaps you don't give yourself enough credit for just how much you really do, how much work you're putting in, how much time and effort goes into just being who you are, accomplishing the things that you do, the goals that you set. This could be in work. This could be in your personal development. It could be your hobbies, your relationships, and it could be everything, right? It could be that you are really taking care of a lot of stuff. And so it's time to recognize all of the effort that you're putting in, recognize yourself, value yourself and your input in any given situation. And it's knowing that like your guides are also recognizing you, and they say like you're doing a great job and you're doing a lot. So like don't undermine your effort this month. The next thing that came through, I feel like it's kind of connected to it because it was formidable execution. So like carrying out your tasks or your goals in a formidable manner. So it's kind of like you're very powerful. You've got a lot of effort. You've got a lot of energy. You do things in such a way that like people take notice, right? Like you've got this power, you have this ability to accomplish your tasks in whatever way that makes sense to you. But I think it's like being aware that like you're kind of a force to be reckoned with. And I think other people see you as that. And it might be, being willing to claim that, because if you are somebody who works really hard and you're constantly putting in a great effort and you're always striving for success and perfection, chances are you might actually be overlooking, what you accomplish. You might be constantly pushing yourself to do more and more or better and better. And you might not be taking the time that you need to really realize like just how much you're actually doing and how impressed people are by you. And you should be impressed by yourself, right? Because it's like, like hurricane force in everything that you do. You've just got this power behind you. The next thing that came through is everything is coming into alignment. And so if you've been feeling scattered, if there are things that aren't feeling like they're quite fit you, maybe you've been going through some shifts in terms of like things that are no longer serving you that need to let go of. Maybe you've already been in that energy. Maybe that's coming in this month, but there's the sense that this can be a really beautiful month for you to make sure that like it could be on a personal level, that your thoughts, feelings, actions, the way that you represent yourself in the world are coming into better alignment. Maybe you're coming into more awareness about what is important to you and taking action on that. But there's the sense that like, if the sea has been a little bit rocky or you've been dealing with a lot and things have just been feeling like not quite right, that March might be a really great time. And it's kind of reassurance, like you can get there, you will get there. Things will kind of even out and you will come into that alignment, especially if that's an area of focus for you. The next thing is you're safe here. And so, if you put a lot of pressure on yourself, if you feel the need to constantly like be proving yourself, or maybe you're worried about like criticism or judgment from other people, I think it's recognizing that either you're in a safe space, you're in a place in your life where you've got enough resources and people supporting you and seeing you for who you really are, nothing is going to derail you in terms of the value that you offer. But it's also recognizing the safe spaces that you do have, appreciating those, leaning on those people, allowing yourself to feel safe and held, maybe to let the guard down a little bit and to be vulnerable, to receive support from people around you. And you don't have to have your guard up all the time. You don't have to be worried about impressing people or what people think of you or meeting expectations all the time. You're free and you're safe to let yourself just be and to enjoy doing so. The next thing that came through is gracefully declining. So you might have some things that are coming up this month, especially if things are coming into alignment for you. You might have opportunities that like sound great or look great on paper, but you just kind of know aren't right for you. There might be things that you're feeling pressured or expected to follow through with that you're not really interested in. So you might have offers that you know you need to decline, and it's knowing that if that is the case, and if you come into that energy, that you have a level of self-awareness and tact and the ability to kind of understand and communicate what's important so that you can decline in a manner that's graceful. You don't have to have stress or anxiety over saying no, and you can trust that even if people aren't happy with your decision, that they will ultimately understand. And at the end of the day, it's most important that you honor yourself. So you are going to be able to handle that and balance that out. The next thing that came through is making mountains out of molehills. And I find that this energy tends to be really prominent when we're feeling stressed, when we're feeling like under pressure, we've got a lot on our plate. There's a lot of things on the go at once, and our capacity to kind of like handle stress or like little things begins to decline. And so it's being aware this month of anything that you feel particularly reactive to, and giving yourself the grace to like take a step back and just assess that energy and see like, is this something that's really, really a huge deal, or are you just feeling overwhelmed and it's kind of blowing it out of proportion, especially in relation to other people? Because, you know, we have a tendency to over exaggerate things in our own lives when we're feeling tough, but it's also like, we want to be really conscious about if we're dragging other people into that, especially if it's an energy that's passing that we just need to kind of work our way through, but also projecting that onto other people. So yeah, just be mindful of anything that feels like a big deal, anything that you are making a big deal about, and just take a moment to really assess if that area of focus is the problem, or if it's just kind of like overwhelm, a lack of resources, being tired, being depleted, and just not necessarily having the resources. Because when those little things start to get to us, that's usually a sign that we do need to take a rest and to recharge, and we're kind of running ourselves ragged. So just keep that in mind. That will be a good indicator for you that maybe you need some rest and regeneration, maybe a spa day. Because yeah, the next thing that came through was time to unwind. So yeah, allow yourself to have a break. Give yourself the freedom to do something just for the sake of enjoying it, to rest just for the sake of resting. You don't need to be productive. You don't need to be achieving things. You don't need to be pushing forward. It is time to unwind, to give yourself that space, especially if your productivity and like moving forward and being kind of on track to meet goals is something that drives you and that's part of who you are. It's knowing that you can be most efficient at excelling in that energy when you do allow yourself time to rest. And when your rest is intentional and you allow yourself to be regenerated, then you're going to have a refreshed perspective and a refreshed energy to get back at, you know, crushing your goals, and it's going to make you more efficient. So you'll be able to achieve what you're looking to achieve with less effort, because the more run down you get, the more work it takes to sustain that like level of performance, right? The next thing that came through is it's not fair. So you might be feeling slighted. You might be feeling at a disadvantage. Maybe things aren't working out in your favor. Perhaps you feel like you're being punished, or you're kind of wondering why things aren't working out. And it's totally okay. We all have those moments. But just know, chances are that's a passing thing. It might just be a challenge being introduced for you to kind of overcome and to learn and grow from. So in those situations, we just have to do our best not to overthink, not to overanalyze, not to take it too personally. Allow those feelings to flow through us and know that we're not going to be stuck in that energy forever. And then the next thing that came through was frankincense. So that is like a base ingredient and a really common ingredient in incense. It's particularly common in like, especially like Christianity, Catholicism, and the Catholic Church, like frankincense and myrrh. It's associated with holiness and righteousness. And I think the idea of burning incense with frankincense is the idea that as the smoke rises upward, it carries your prayers toward heaven. So frankincense might be like an incense, a scent, an essential oil, maybe something that will be helpful to you, especially if you have some prayers, if you're religious in nature. And if not, like it's also, yeah, just like general essential oils. It's in a lot of, it doesn't have to be tied to religion is what I'm saying, but you might have a connection to it through that if that applies to you. So keep that in mind, especially if anything frankincense related pops up. But yeah, you might need to burn some incense. That might actually be part of your like a relaxation ritual. The next thing that came through was the hunt for Red October, which is like, oh my gosh, that's kind of obscure for me. Maybe that means something to you. Maybe that's on your radar to be punny. Yes, so it's a movie from the 90s with Sean Connery. If I remember correctly, it has to do with some kind of like mutiny aboard a Soviet submarine, and like there's an impending attack, and like I don't know the details, but yeah, you'll know how that applies to you if it does. The next thing that came through was my girl is better than you, or better than yours. And so that might be your energy. Like maybe it could be a significant other, it could be a friend or a family member that you're feeling really particularly proud of, and you're kind of like shouting it from the rooftops, like nobody compares to this person. And this could be your person's energy toward you, either your friends or family, the people who support you. They see what a star you really are. They're really proud of you, and they want to show you off, and they want other people to know that like nobody else compares, right? So you might be needing to, I feel like the general theme is like you need to connect with your power and your value and like what you have to offer, and start to recognize that, because other people see it in you and they're like proud of you. So I think you're being guided to really start connecting with that confidence in yourself. The last thing that came through was related to physical activity. Like fitness, health, all that kind of stuff. If you're somebody who has a good connection to physical activity, if working out and being fit and healthy is important to you, or if you have physical activity that you engage in regularly, the thing that came through was to make sure that you are making room in your physical fitness and your physical activity for restorative and regenerative practices, things that are restful. So that could be yoga, it could be deep breathing and stretching, meditation, it could just be going for a walk in nature, something that is gentle. And the thing that came through is it's like not always balls to the wall when you exercise, right? And that's funny because like balls to the wall is not something that I ever say. So that might be something that applies to you. Maybe that's the way you approach your workouts. I don't know, but yeah, so it's making sure like you don't need to be like on your A game, going all out, max effort all the time, because that will also deplete you, especially if you've got other stuff going on in other areas of your life and like emotionally. It's like you want to make sure that you're taking time for rest and regeneration and just relaxing and connecting to yourself, even with fitness. So it's totally cool to still have those max effort workouts if you do. But yeah, maybe incorporating a little bit more rest and relaxation, yoga, light walking or jogging, like something that's just kind of, or even just your regular workouts, but not trying to max out, just trying to kind of be present, focus on your form, do things slowly, and just a more restful energy going into that. So we'll get into that was a really long read of your energy. I'm sorry, but it needed to be said. So we'll get into your oracles. Your first is align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? So that's really funny that came through, because yeah, we got the message that everything is coming into alignment. So that might be a major focus for you this month. The second card is yin. So yin energy, like yin and yang, divine feminine and divine masculine. This is the feminine energy. And finally, we have double mission, light worker, starseed. Serve the world by being you. Okay. So also I have to say, this is an energy, you might be aware of it, but not willing to accept it. It might be something that is escaping you, or something that you're shutting off from, or something that you're not currently aware of. Maybe you are on a subconscious level and it just hasn't been activated yet, but this card took forever to come out. These ones came out pretty easily. This one, it took forever shuffling, and I had to keep just like, working through it to try and get this message out for you. So yes, being a light worker, being a starseed, being a light worker, starseed in particular, if that's something that stands out to you, if you have, as I go through the reading, if this is something that interests you, I really highly recommend you do some research and reading as to what that means, how light worker starseeds connect with the world. Because I get the sense there might be a lot of resistance there. You might be shut off from it. It might be something important to start integrating, just because it was really, really hesitant to come out for you all. Okay, so with Align Your Life being here, it seems like March is going to be a really, really good time for you to start developing a higher level of awareness of what fits in your life, what's serving you, what's working for you, what is taking you in your intended direction, what is aligned with the energy and the goals that you are trying to move toward and to bring in, and what isn't. And so the whole purpose, the whole kind of meaning of this card is, as humans, we are cyclical in nature. So things are always moving, things are always changing. We're always being exposed to new information and new experiences and offered the opportunity to learn and grow. So we're always changing, whether we realize it or not. And so, inevitably, just being here in life, having these experiences, we are being changed by them. We're growing, we're maturing, we're coming to new levels of realization, we're developing new skills. And it's basically saying that as we learn and grow, as we move through those cycles and close them out, inevitably that change that we've undergone, whether we're conscious of it or not, means that there are certain things that no longer align, certain things that no longer serve us, right? So it's like, if you've learned a lesson, right, it would be like not allowing yourself to accept and integrate that and move forward from it, and just denying the truth, like the lesson that you've learned, the information that you know, and then consciously making the decision to go against it or to do something that you know is wrong, right? So it's like, that's why alignment is so important, is that it's kind of like allowing ourselves to integrate the information, the awareness, the skills that we have received, and to move forward into the next cycle instead of trying to stay put, right? So change is difficult, but it's inevitable. This is a card of change and embracing change and knowing that it's a good thing. It can be painful when things feel like they're no longer in alignment, because, that can be in the form of people, relationships, jobs. It can be belief systems, perspectives on life and how things work. It can influence your values in terms of, career, money, family, relationships. So it's basically saying, at a soul level, you're able to feel when something isn't quite right. And so it's kind of recognizing, and then logically you're able to recognize that as well, because if there's an old energy or an old belief that you've been through it, you kind of know that that's not right for you. It's being willing to accept, the reason I had that experience and the reason that's in my awareness is because it isn't right for me, and allowing yourself to choose to move forward from that energy and just kind of close the door on it. So a big area of focus for you this month might be starting to recognize when that misalignment is coming up, or situations that you've outgrown, things that are feeling limiting, things that are feeling constricted, outdated, anything that's kind of cyclical, that's repeating. That would be an indication that maybe you're stuck in a cycle, you're stuck in a feedback loop, and it just might be a matter of bringing that to your conscious awareness and making the choice to leave behind whatever, especially if it's toxic or if it's draining you of your energy. Because the beautiful thing about aligning, right, and integrating the new perspective and the new insight that you have based on what you've learned, is that you're going to open up. You can kind of close your energy off from the things that are no longer serving you, and you can open up to the opportunity to learn new lessons and have new experiences that are specific to you, that are beneficial to you, right? And so, it's taking a look, even with your values, with the way that you approach people, with the things that you say. It's like, you want the things that you say and think and do to be in alignment, right? With who you are, with what you feel, with what's important to you, with your end goal. It's also about seeing If you want to achieve a certain goal, whether that's feeling a certain way, whether that's a certain job or relationship or like a benchmark for what you believe success to be, it's recognizing like, does that vision actually align with what you feel is most beneficial to you or will be most fulfilling to you? And if so, are the actions that you're taking representative of who you want to be and what you're trying to create? Like, are you infusing that energy into what you're doing? Because that will indicate like where you're going to go, right? So coming into alignment makes it easier to be aware of yourself, what's right for you, to make the decisions that are right for you from an empowered place, knowing that you're on the right track, and you don't have to sacrifice for anyone. You don't need to people please. You don't need to hold on to things that no longer serve you. And in doing so, it's going to make you a lot more efficient, because if you have this fractured energy, and your energy is tied up in places that are not helping you move forward or that are not aligned with what you truly want, then that's a lot of effort and energy that isn't serving you, right? And so once you kind of clear whatever blockages those are, once you bring that into alignment, you're going to have a lot more energy and focus to take you in the direction that you really want to go in. So that might be a major theme for you. However that makes sense to you, however that shows up, it can show up in any area of your life, in every area of your life. The next thing that comes through, I think, is really interesting, because the card of, so yin energy is feminine energy. It's all about softness and gentleness and receptivity. So it's not a card of just waiting, right? It's not like you're sitting and waiting and you need a rest, but it is recognizing that when you are not actively taking action, when you are patient enough to sit back and watch and to be open to the information that is available to you, that you're giving things the opportunity to come to you. So especially if you're someone who is very hardworking and is very goal oriented and is always like smashing out goals and moving forward and productive, like really intense energy, this month you're kind of being recommended that you connect more with this, with the trust and the acceptance and the release that's required to take a step back, right? To let somebody else take the lead, to let someone else guide you, support you, to listen to the ways that people express themselves, what they say, what they feel, what they think. Let them show you who they are and what they have to offer, and allow yourself to determine like how that's going to influence you, and what you can take from that, right? So if you are a leader, and if you are kind of like a force of nature, like strong moving and always going forward, it's recognizing that, you can't always be the one leading. You can't always be the one calling the shots, the one in control. You can't always be the one teaching. It's important. It's important that you're open to learning. It's important that you're open to receiving the information that is available to you, because that's going to be helpful to you, right? So the other thing is, so whether this is wisdom or knowledge, whether it's love, whatever it is that you have the opportunity to receive, it's, if you're somebody who's always driving forward, it doesn't really give anyone else the opportunity to take action or for their ideas to be able to influence the outcome, right? And so in relinquishing a little bit of that power and control and being willing to let somebody else take the lead, you are actually giving them the opportunity to serve you in some way. And so sometimes the reason that we're always in control and we're always in charge is because we are accustomed to giving. It's easy for us to give. It's easy for us to put that effort in, and we might have a hard time receiving. And perhaps sometimes the reason why we have to be the ones leading is because we don't trust that other people are capable of stepping up and taking the lead. Maybe we're afraid that we'll be disappointed by, letting someone else move forward. And it could just be that we have a fear of being willing to receive whatever other people have to offer and being enriched by that, right? Because it does require us to let go of our own opinions, our own thoughts, our own beliefs about how things should get done or how we want them done, and allowing ourselves to have a variety of experience and to see how we can benefit and see how we can be changed and how we can grow from those experiences. So it's being the observer of your life, of your situation, and recognizing how you're able to receive, what you're able to ascertain, what you're able to get from other people, and recognizing that there is a time for action and there's a time for, rest. Not necessarily rest, but stepping back. And that, this is part of the balance of life, right? And so especially if you find yourself in a position where you're taking a lot of responsibility, especially in a relationship or in a work environment, if you are the one who's constantly responsible for everything, that can also burn you out. Like, that's not necessarily sustainable to always be the one on the move, right? And so it's recognizing that you deserve to give yourself a break. You deserve for someone else to take the lead, and that's going to be beneficial for everyone involved. But it's not going to happen unless you allow the space for it, especially if the people around you are accustomed to you taking a high level of responsibility. So yeah, it's taking a step back and being open to receive what's coming to you this month, and to have an open mind as to what that can show you about yourself and where that can take you. And you might be pleasantly surprised to step out of your own kind of like preferences and the way that you would normally go about things, and to experience things in a different way this month. And finally, with double mission, Lightworker Starseed, serve the world by being you. This kind of tells me, like, as an individual, you might have a really like healing energy. You might have a lot of like positivity, a lot of light to share with the world, but it might not be something that you're fully connected with, fully aware of, or maybe even accepting of, because this can represent like, even on like a spiritual or an energetic level, like putting yourself in the closet, like being in a spiritual closet. So maybe being afraid to connect with that energy, with whatever your purpose is, because Lightworker Starseeds are here for like, kind of, it's like a double mission, right? So the idea is you incarnated on this earth to have, so you have your own personal mission, which is your personal development, your growth, the evolution of your soul, learning major like lessons, connecting with the abundance of experience that's around you, and just like growing and ascending, right? Experiencing that. But the other side of it is that you're also here to help facilitate similar kinds of experiences for other people. And so it kind of ties into your soul's purpose, your life's purpose, that you have something, there's something special about you. You have a gift to share, and it doesn't have to be on a large scale, and it doesn't have to be something that you work at. It doesn't have to be a career. It can be, and it doesn't have to be something that you decide like, okay, I have to do this and I've got to put the effort in. This is just something that comes naturally to you. It's a natural gift. It's a natural talent. That can be a skill, a hobby, that could be, kindness, compassion, empathy. It could be a spiritual gift. It could just be your attitude. It could be, being a parent, taking care of children, supporting other people. So whatever that gift is, it's like your mission is to come here and to share that with people. And the only way that you can share that with people is if you come into an understanding of what that is for you, and you allow yourself not only to connect with it, but to express that, for that to be a part of your life, for you to benefit from that energy, to grow and to be changed, and then to share that with other people. And it's basically saying it's not something logical. It's not something that needs to be figured out, or something that you have to like learn. You might have to learn how to integrate it into your life if you are feeling particularly closed off, or perhaps if you're a really hardworking, career-oriented individual, maybe the idea of having a soul's purpose and a gift and a light to shine to the world is a little too flaky for you. But this is about the meaning in your life, your connection, your opportunity to make a difference, regardless of on a small or large scale. It's recognizing that, yeah, you do have a gift, you have something to offer, and only you can know what that is. And yeah, it's just a part of who you are, something that comes naturally. And so, if this does make sense to you, though, and you're not sure, you might have an inkling, but it's whatever you're drawn to. It's whatever it is that lights you up, whatever you're really like passionate and enthusiastic about, whatever kind of gets you into that high energy or the state of flow when you're doing it. That is that is your purpose, right? That's your gift. That's what you came here to share. So you came here to connect with that energy for yourself and to share it with other people. And like I said, you don't need to work with it, work at it or make it happen. It's more like allowing yourself to recognize what that is, allowing yourself to connect with that energy and enjoy it, for that to be a major part of your life. Because when you're doing something that lights you up, you shine that light without even trying. People are drawn into that. People experience that. People are changed by that. And it is just naturally a part of who you are. So if you know what that is and you've been denying it, know that you have the ability to give yourself permission to connect with it. And it's important not only for you and your experience in this life and connecting with yourself, even alignment with yourself, but also for other people. And it's worthwhile, right? Especially if it's something that you're hesitant to connect to or hesitant to own. It's like, it's a part of you, right? It's not something outside of you. It is a part of you. And I think it's longing to be seen. So like I said, you might want to do some research on light work, on starseeds, on light work or starseeds in particular, and see if you resonate with any of the information that you come across. There are a lot of resources, even just online. But yeah, see if anything in particular resonates with you. Oh, interesting. As I'm saying this, your first card is Judgment. Your second card is the Ten of Wands. I'm already seeing where this is going, Cancer. Your third card is the Ten of Swords. I am loving this. Right, let's get you one more card. Oops, I just dropped a bunch. Your last card is being very selective. Those ones came out very confidently. Oh, love it. Yes, I think this is very, very fitting given the read that we've got on your Oracle cards currently. Three of Pentacles is your final card. And Three of Wands in reverse at the bottom of that deck. Interesting. So maybe you are aware of this. Maybe you know what it is that's important to you and you're just having a hard time giving yourself permission to do it or to claim that energy. Maybe you're feeling hesitant that people are going to judge you. Maybe you're judging yourself for wanting to connect with more of that energy because maybe you feel like it's not practical. There's something there. But this Three of Wands here, the Three of Wands is about being able to connect to opportunities to incorporate your passion, your enthusiasm, your creativity into your life, to be willing to kind of follow that path, that spark of inspiration. Like I said, the things that light you up, the things that you enjoy, and being willing to make room for that in your life, but also being willing to allow that to influence the decisions that you make, to take you forward. And the fact that this card is reversed, this is like this girl, she's already kind of aware of her passion. She's already taken some steps. Maybe she's seen some results that indicate to her that this is a worthwhile path, but the future is still uncertain, right? There are still steps to be taken and there are still a number of opportunities and ways that this can unfold. But she's kind of waiting for her ships to come in. So she's waiting for the right opportunity to kind of come in. She's waiting for things to align, and she's trusting that that kind of inner spark and that enthusiasm is going to help light the way. But the fact that this is reversed means that you might be resisting this energy. You might be resisting this connection to your passion and the things that really truly light you up and all of the opportunities that are available to you. And this could also be like a career path thing. It could be an entrepreneurial thing as well. It doesn't have to be, but if that makes sense to you, it could just be like even a career or moving in a direction that's more fulfilling, that makes more room for you and the things that are important to you and the things that light you up instead of being in like some kind of like soul-sucking job. So yeah, the impression that I get, because you're being advised to come into this month, into the month of March with this energy of like releasing judgment, releasing criticism, stop being so hard on yourself, to stop having such high or unreasonable expectations, or even expectations that aren't really aligned with you, who you are, what you want. So this is going to require you to take a good look at your core beliefs, the things that you believe to be true about yourself, about the world, about your worth and value, about your career and finances, about your relationships. I get the sense that this is like a big picture opportunity for alignment. So the ways that you judge yourself, the expectations that you put on yourself, were they created as a result of certain experiences that you had? And if so, were those experiences positive and uplifting and empowering, or were they negative, like detrimental? Did they cut you down? So are you holding on to perspectives and experiences that are disempowering? And is that pushing you forward? Is that causing you to put limits on the way that you treat yourself or what you're willing to connect with? And this can also be like, are you afraid of being yourself? Are you afraid? Because like being in alignment is also being authentic about who you are and what's important to you. It's not worrying about anyone else. It's not trying to please anyone else. There's no external noise coming through and influencing you. So this can be also about recognizing that sometimes the expectations that we have and sometimes the pressure that we put on ourselves isn't even ours, right? It's something that has been imposed on us by someone else, either something that they've said or done, ways that we've been taught to view the world, things that we've been taught to value. And it's very possible, like, because sometimes the things that we learn, whether it's from our parents or teachers or the people around us, sometimes, that's not, it's not necessarily like holistic. Like sometimes that is really greatly informed by that person's individual trauma or generational or collective trauma. It's not like everything that everyone says to you is not necessarily true or right for you. And so it's being willing to recognize that you could be holding on to things that don't support you, that don't serve you. And you could be like experiencing or putting a lot of like harsh judgment and criticism on yourself as a result of trying to measure yourself up to expectations that aren't really suitable to you and what you value. And you might feel like you have to compromise your happiness and the things that you do want to just meet these goals that you've set for yourself or that you feel like are acceptable, because maybe what feels right to you and what would be most fulfilling to you, maybe you don't feel like that's acceptable or that's valuable or practical. And so it's being willing to connect with yourself on a really authentic level, to get honest with yourself about who you are and what's important to you, and to let go of judging yourself and holding yourself to these expectations that are not aligned, and to let go of fear of judgment, because it's knowing that anybody who comes at you in a judgmental way, or anybody who's harsh and critical of you, that has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with who you are, anything that you have or haven't done. And it has everything to do with that individual's circumstances, with their ability to accept, other perspectives, other like, and change too. And chances are that they are judging you through the same critical lens that they judge themselves through. And that probably is related to their own experiences and their own wounds. So the fact that this is coming up, like your block for this month is this really like tired, worn out, overburdened energy. Like you might have too much on your plate. Your load might be too heavy to carry. This could be in terms of workload, like domestically or at work or both. This could be emotionally, that you are carrying a lot of weight, not only from your own experiences, but maybe like codependence, like maybe being projected onto you by other people. But yeah, this is a sense of like, it's almost like getting to the stage of like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like, she's overburdened. There's too much. She's slowing down, and she doesn't like, it's not a sustainable energy to stay in. And so it's recognizing that you've been on this long path, and chances are along the path, you've picked up things, you're carrying things that are not yours. They're not helping you. They're not serving you. And so it's releasing the things that aren't yours, and also recognizing the things that are yours, the burdens that are yours to carry. It's being willing to release yourself of some of those. So if it's like, old feelings, old experiences, old things that you've outgrown, lessons that you're just ready to integrate, this is really, feeling as though you can't possibly take any more. And so you might be kind of on the verge of some kind of breakdown. You might feel like you don't have anything more to give, or you can't possibly take on anymore. And so you might be challenged not only to deal with that energy, but also to recognize that, some things need to be released. Like you need to let go of some of the weight, whether it's releasing people, places, jobs, beliefs. It could be, holding other people accountable for their own feelings and setting boundaries so that you're not carrying an emotional burden or like a physical or practical burden for the people around you, because you kind of need, or it could be delegating too. If you do have a lot on your plate and it's not manageable and you're not able to strike a balance between like productivity and like the practical and then your time for yourself and your self-care, then it's important to recognize that you can delegate certain tasks as well. Like, do what you need to do to lighten your load. And you might have resistance around this because maybe you are kind of a workhorse, and maybe you pride yourself on being able to work hard and to push through things that are difficult and to get stuff done. And maybe you're always saying yes, like you're not putting a lot of value on your needs outside of that. And so you might have some resistance about letting go. This is also this like yin energy, letting go and being receptive, letting other people take the lead. And so it's recognizing that you might have a challenge letting go of some of that burden, letting go of some of that responsibility, letting other people take the lead or follow through or take care of certain tasks, to free up a little bit more energy for you, because you're at the end of this path. Like, I think you've learned everything that you need to learn from it. I think you're getting to the point where it's not going to serve you to take on anymore, but certainly not to continue carrying all of this weight. And that might be a particular challenge for you this month. And that might be something that kind of keeps coming up for you. And the lovely thing is, if you're willing to let go of this judgment and recognize all of this burden that you're carrying and how that's probably dimming your shine and keeping you from really putting time and energy into the things that are important to you on an individual soul level, your purpose, what lights you up, to kind of manage and clear this block, to work through it, it's going to be really helpful for you to take a look at your thoughts, your beliefs, your perceptions. This can be the way that you perceive yourself, the way that you perceive other people, the beliefs that you have about any given area of your life. These can also be limiting beliefs, so stories that you tell yourself about what you're capable of or what you're not capable of and why. And it's recognizing that those are just thoughts, and that especially if we're in a place where we're struggling or we've got a lot on our plate or we don't have time to connect with ourselves and regenerate, that our thoughts can get away from us, and they're not necessarily representative of how things are really going on. They might be inspired by fear, they might be inspired by past experiences, projecting the past into the future. This can be an anxious energy. And typically the 10 of Swords is depicted as someone who's like almost on the verge of death with 10 swords in their back. So it can also be the things that have happened that have really beaten you down. Anytime that you've really taken a hit, like emotionally, any kind of unhealthy thoughts or patterns or beliefs that you currently have. And so it's kind of being willing to like release those as well, to recognize them, to recognize where they've come from, how they're shaping your life, and to kind of come at it from an observer's perspective, where you're able to see like if this is something that truly aligns with you, if this is true to you. This is also about your personal truth. So the thoughts that you're thinking, do they really feel right to you? The things that you say to yourself, especially the things that are limiting or that might be misaligned or preventing you from connecting with the things that your heart and your soul are guiding you towards. It's like, is that how you really feel? Is that what you truly believe? Or is that something that you've just absorbed? And so it's being willing to recognize that thoughts are just thoughts. We can change our thoughts at any time. And so if you're able to connect with your own inner truth, and if your mind is going to tell you a story no matter what, like, perception is reality. So whatever you're believing, that is going to be what your reality is. That's going to influence the experiences that you have. And so if your thoughts are not serving you, and if they're hurtful or they're limiting or they're keeping you cut off or in an unhealthy energy where you're taking on too much, it's knowing that when you come to that realization, you can absolutely change your mind. You can absolutely release that thought, and you can replace it with something that is aligned. And so that being aware of that is going to help you work through the weight that you're carrying in one way or another, and to be willing to either return to sender, to let it go, to delegate, or just simply to not do it. Like there are some things that like maybe that you're doing that you don't need to be doing, that aren't serving you, that aren't serving anyone else, or they're not a good use of your time. And so you can say no. Just know that. And the highest possible outcome, if you are able to kind of lean into this energy and to be open to working through it and seeing what will come to you and what there is to be shown, and allowing yourself to connect to this like inner light and really just start to enjoy yourself a bit more, especially as you're working through like releasing judgment, releasing the burden that you're carrying, releasing these limiting thoughts and this pain from the past, and making room for new, more empowering, uplifting, and aligned perspectives, is basically you have the opportunity for almost like a renewed sense of collaboration, right? So this is a card that's, it's about community. It's about the fact that, you know, everybody has their own unique purpose. Everyone has something unique to offer, and that we're here to connect with and to collaborate with each other. And so these three individuals are kind of working in harmony together to create something, right? To build something, to see something through. So this can be in relationships, this can be in work. Pentacles has to do with the physical world, the material, so like money, work, material things, success, stability, home and family. And yeah, so it's recognizing that if you're working through this energy, it's going to give you the opportunity to start coming into situations, knowing what you have to offer, and being willing to share that, being willing to do your share of the work, and to recognize that you have something valuable to contribute, but everyone else does as well. And everybody should be kind of taking responsibility for themselves and showing up, being willing to do the work. So it's like, if this is a group project, it's everybody has a role to play. Everyone should be doing their part. It shouldn't be one person taking care of it. So maybe you were somebody like in the past, maybe in school, like you were the one that basically had to orchestrate everything, to organize everyone, because you're afraid that it wouldn't get done, or maybe not to your standard. And this is recognizing that you don't have to be the leader, you don't have to be the boss, you don't have to be guiding everyone. You just have to be willing to recognize your strengths, what you have to offer, and to do your part and let other people do their part. So that goes hand in hand with this yin energy, which is like to stop pushing forward and taking the lead and let somebody else step up, right? Because especially if that energy comes naturally to you, you probably have something to learn by stepping back, because it's not your usual thing, right? And you can see what other people are capable of. And maybe have something to learn as well about yourself. But also, if you're always leading, then these individuals don't know what they're capable of, and they don't necessarily know what they have to offer or have the opportunity to do that. And so however that makes sense to you, whether it's in your relationships, your personal life, your career, school, however this makes sense to you, it's basically saying that like, you're giving other people the opportunity to see what they're able to do and to contribute. And if there are if there are imbalances in the dynamic, and if there is too much weight on you and too much that you're carrying in terms of responsibility, it's trusting that like there are other people who are perfectly capable of stepping up and doing the things that you do. You're not the only one that can do it, and you shouldn't be doing it alone, right? And so it seems like there's an opportunity for healing around this, and maybe you'll actually see that starting to fall into place and see that people can support you. So, oh, sorry, this wasn't meant to be, I have my deck upside down. I was like, oh, it came out reversed, great, but no, my deck is upside down. So under Judgment, we've got the Unknown card, very interesting. I will explain more once I get the rest of these cards out. So let's clarify. 10 of Wands. We've got the 10 of Cups. 10 of Swords is 6 of Cups. And let's see for 3 of Pentacles. Oh, 10 of Swords again. Love that Synchronicity. And at the bottom of the deck, we have 9 of Swords. So chances are the way that you might be preventing yourself from connecting to your passion or opportunities to live a life that lights you up and that is inspired by what feels right to you. It might be because you've had a lot of like challenging thoughts, like maybe you've had a lot of stress or anxiety, things keeping you up at night, pressure that you're putting on yourself, and it's keeping you kind of like closed off, right? Because this is an energy of like, she's not going anywhere. She's feeling pretty beat down and she's feeling guarded, right? So it might be a fear that if you were to embark on this new path or connect with more passion and excitement and the things that light you up, that perhaps you might encounter more pain, or perhaps you don't feel as though that's something that you can do as a result of these kind of like damaging beliefs or limiting beliefs that are holding you back, right? So perhaps you've been feeling blocked, and that is what is inspiring all of this. And it might be subconsciously or consciously, depending on your level of awareness about what is going on in your particular situation. But I love that the Unknown card came out. So I will say the Unknown card, it's not a traditional or typical card in the tarot deck. It is specific to this Crystal Visions tarot. And I really love it because I always say to people, when the Unknown card comes out, there is no doubt that this is for you, because it is just such a unique energy, right? Like you don't find it anywhere else. So I feel like it's very powerful when it does come out. So it's basically saying like, maybe the whole thing is the judgment, the criticism, the pressure that you put on yourself to excel or to perform or to go about things in a certain way to please other people, whatever that is for you. It could kind of be a comfort zone. It could kind of be a comfort zone because it's clearly defined. Like, you know what's expected to you, you know the space that you have to work within, and you know what other people want, and you know kind of how things will go. And so the only thing is staying in that comfort zone and that familiarity, while you might feel safe and you know what to expect, it's not offering you the opportunity to grow. And it certainly isn't offering you the opportunity to come into greater alignment, to authenticity, and to kind of connect with the things that are most meaningful to you. And so it's basically saying like, it's okay if you have fear about that, and it's okay if you have hesitation about stepping out of that comfort and that kind of box that you've been working within, even if it's not serving you, even if it is feeling kind of heavy. It's okay to release yourself of that, and it's also okay to be afraid of stepping into new energy, stepping into the unknown. And it's trusting that if you are in that position where like things are feeling a little bit unclear, you don't know what to expect, you don't know the next step, you don't know how things are going to manifest, you don't know how people are going to respond, it's trusting that if you're in that energy, it's because that's where you're meant to be. It's not meant to be clear. It's not meant to be known. You're not like, you don't have everything that you need to plan or to make a decision or to know, you know, how to go about this the right way. So you really do need to trust yourself. You need to connect with yourself, and you need to trust that you've got the inner wisdom that you need, and that by allowing yourself to be comfortable in your discomfort and to connect with new energy and to step on a path that is more intuitive, it's more personal, it's more aligned to you, that things will become clear. So you need to have this experience of being uncomfortable and stepping out of that comfort zone in order for things to become more clear. And that does mean that things might be slow moving. It does mean that, you know, you might feel a little bit afraid to make the first step. And it's kind of like, as you take each step, the fog will clear. So it's really just connecting with yourself and trusting that you can do it, trusting that things will work out, and not keeping yourself limited in judgment or fear of judgment. Because there's something wonderful out there, and you're not going to know what that is until you kind of embark, right, on that journey. With the 10 of Cups coming out under the 10 of Wands, it kind of tells me that, like, yeah, you might be carrying a great deal of emotional burden. You might be a sensitive person, and you might not have the time and energy to work through and honor your emotions, or they might be weighing really heavily on you while you're focused on carrying all this weight and completing all of these tasks. You might also be somebody who carries emotional burden for other people. This 10 of Cups is like the happily ever after, the happy little family. It's like all sorts of love and joy, fulfillment, abundance. It's like deep emotional fulfillment and connection with like a soulmate. Obviously you see there's a child here, so it can have to do with with like, you know, it's whatever wish fulfillment is for you, like in terms of like this deep level of happiness and satisfaction. So whatever your dreams are, whatever that looks like or feels like to you, it could be that maybe you're bearing most of the burden in trying to get there or trying to connect with it. And especially if this is in relation to like a partnership or a relationship, it might be that the other person maybe isn't on the same page, or maybe just isn't putting in the same level of effort, or maybe you need to like rely on them a little bit more to take more of a lead. To help lighten your load, because the whole point is like a happy little family and a partnership. It is meant to be a partnership, right? Like people are meant to share the burdens, and it's not something that you can do it all alone, especially not for another person, especially not for a family. And if children are on your mind, or that's something that is on your radar, it's recognizing that, yeah, this feeling of overburden could very much be connected to the work that you're trying to do to make your dreams come true. And it's really difficult to connect with this emotional fulfillment and depth of connection when you are stuck in this tired old energy, and especially if you're maybe a little bit under supported by the people around you, right? With the Six of Cups coming up under the Ten of Swords, so like I said, this Ten of Swords being willing to kind of become aware of and release the thoughts and perceptions and beliefs that are no longer serving us, or that are limiting us, or that are maybe inspired by fear or things that aren't aligned, in order to kind of open the opportunity for new experiences, new perceptions, and to become more aware of our personal truth, to allow that to drive us forward. It has to do with, it could be like your childhood. It could be experiences from your childhood, positive or negative, whether it's things that you are nostalgic about and you're looking back on fondly, perhaps that you're wanting to reconnect with that energy, or you're feeling like you're longing for it. Or it could be hurtful experiences from your childhood, things that were ingrained in you through your family. It could be like childhood wounds that are kind of holding you back. Maybe that's part of the reason why you judge yourself. And so it's basically saying like your past is very important and it's shaped who you are, but you also have to give yourself the opportunity to move forward from that. So we're not going to be able, as nostalgic as we might be, we're not going to be able to recreate the past. We can connect with it, we can honor it, and we can use that knowledge and information and those values to move towards something new, something that aligns for us, but it doesn't serve us to stay in the past. And if you are going to revisit the past, take what you can to help you continue moving along your path, but don't get stuck in that energy. You don't want to get stuck in the past. And so, yeah, it's basically saying there might be a lot of stuff from your past, especially on an emotional level, and maybe like your inner child that's being shut out or avoided. And it might be reconnecting with that energy, those experiences, and clearing the hurtful beliefs and so on that you might be even unconsciously carrying with you, that might be influencing the decisions that you're making. And what I love the most is that we have the Ten of Swords here twice. So obviously these thoughts, these perceptions can be really damaging. They can be really limiting, and they might really be like the basis of your struggle, or whatever this is for you, however that applies to your specific situation, Cancer. But I love the fact that the Ten of Swords is coming out under the Three of Pentacles, because it's basically saying like this Three of Pentacles energy, this knowing your worth, doing your part, allowing other people to, being able to share, being able to work collaboratively, releasing control, is going to help you heal, right? So the more that you become aware, the more that you can kind of adjust your approach in group settings, in terms of collaboration, in terms of being open to receiving and letting other people show you what they have to offer. But this Ten of Swords, it's not going to be remedied immediately, and certainly not over the course of this month. It's something that, you know, we're always working on healing and growing. And so it's keeping in mind that this is like this opportunity for collaboration and sharing equally, and everybody kind of being in harmony with each other, and having that purpose. That is what's going to help you continue to heal these perceptions and beliefs that are hurtful to you, or that are, you know, connected to the past. And so it's going to give you a new perspective on these situations, and it's going to be like an outlet for you, right? So I think it's really wonderful. That's the second time that like a repeated one has come out like in this positioning. And I kind of like it's like reframing, like you're going to get a new, you could almost have like a new lease on this. And maybe especially if relationships, partnerships, collaboration has been something particularly difficult or hurtful for you over the years, you might be kind of moving out of that energy and having experiences that are going to help heal that and help you trust that you don't have to be in control. You don't have to be overworking yourself. You don't have to be doing 100% of the workload or taking 100% of the responsibility all the time, because you will be supported by the people around you if you give them the opportunity to step up for you. Your first affirmation: I release my need to be perfect and I center into my commitment to serve the world more love. So I like that. Yeah, and that goes really, wonderfully with judgment and even like with alignment. If we're out of alignment and we're focused on perfection and achieving perfection, then it's not serving us. Like we're not going to be able to connect with who we really are and to connect with love and joy. And so it's basically saying like, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to go through life in a certain way. You don't need to impress other people or satisfy other people. All you need to do is be you. Let yourself be you. Do the things that light you up. Do the things that allow you to connect with your own passion and creativity, and share that, right? That's what you're here to do. You're not here to make bank. Like you can, but that's not your only value, right? I welcome abundance and will pay attention to the guidance I receive. So yeah, this is about asking, you shall receive, but you also have to be open to receiving. You have to be open to the ways that abundance can show up for you. Let go of your expectations and limited beliefs about how you want things to go or how you feel things should go. Start letting life surprise you, letting people surprise you. And I think things have the opportunity to like lighten up for you, and you'll learn more about yourself in the process. When I move my body, I bust through all that blocks me from my true health and vitality. So this goes hand in hand with what I was saying about sensing that you might be run down. Maybe your immune system is low. Maybe you're really tired and sleep deprived. Also with physical activity, not going balls to the wall all the time, taking time for things that are regenerative, restorative, and relaxing. And that physical movement, yes, very well is something that's important to you. That is going to be important as you're working through your blocks, as you're trying to align your life. If you're dealing with any discomfort in one way or another, this is going to be really good at because you need your health and vitality in order to handle all of this stuff, because it's big work that you're doing and that's on the horizon. So when I shine bright, I give others permission to shine with me. So yes, this is what I'm saying. It's not just about you, right? Like you have your purpose. You're here to experience all sorts of wonderful, beautiful things, and your inner light and the things that light you up are your path to connecting with that energy. But in connecting with it, you are positively influencing the people around you. You are sharing that love and light with them. You are helping them connect with the light within themselves, giving themselves permission to shine. And so you might not realize, but this is you. This is your energy. This is your, this is your purpose. This is something that's important to you, whether you realize it or not. And it's recognizing that it is worth your time and energy. You deserve to do it. It doesn't matter if it feels unproductive. It doesn't matter like if you can't make money doing it, or if people are going to look at it and be like, oh, that's a waste of time. That doesn't matter. What matters is it's you. You came here to share yourself with others. And yeah, don't underestimate your ability to influence others in a positive manner, because the work that you're doing on yourself sets a great example, and it puts the energy out there for other people to connect, especially people who come from similar backgrounds or who have similar kind of wounds to heal. Doing it is setting a great example, giving yourself permission to love yourself and move through life in a way that is going to feel, fulfilling and meaningful to you. It also allows other people to do that, and you're providing a safe space for them too, right? So it's not just you. And especially if you talk yourself out of things that are important to you, because it's like, well, there's other important things for me to focus on, or I need to worry about money or my career or taking care of this or that person. This is your light, who you are, what you came here to share is just as important, if not more important, I would argue. So yeah, don't be afraid to allow yourself to step into that, to luxuriate in that energy and to incorporate that into your life. And even if that means that you have to change and let go of some things, I think you'll find that it sets you up for even more success than you might realize is possible. So Cancer, I'm sorry I went a little bit long. There's lots of messages here for you, and I really just want to make sure that you are feeling empowered to connect with it, because it's really beautiful, really promising. Very excited for you. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this reading, please like the video and leave me a comment. If there's anyone you can think of that might appreciate or resonate with these types of readings, please feel free to share my content with them. If you haven't already, you can hop on over to my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot and take a look at my other readings, and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on new readings as they're posted. So Cancer, yes, I hope March brings you everything that you're looking for. I hope that you're able to connect with this beautiful energy and these opportunities for healing and shift in perspective that are available to you. It has been an absolute pleasure to read for you, and I can't wait to do so again in the future. But in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.